Recently, I've had quite a few comments from people wondering if I would talk a little bit about toxicity, as in toxic relationships and toxic work environments, and if I have any wisdom that I can share about how to extract oneself from that situation or how to change it. So I've been meditating on this quite a bit the last few days, and what I first want to do is I want to pull back the lens so that we have a broader view of the milieu of the overall environment that we're functioning in. Because I believe that everything that we're functioning in right now is toxic. Toxic meaning that it is opposed to life. It's an outside influence, substance, whatever you want to call it, but it's foreign to life. It is not life affirming and life giving. So it is toxic for us on all levels. So let's first start with the toxicities that were going on in our biological vessels. And this starts with the pollution of our water, pollution of our food, whether it's the chemicals, the preservatives, the processing, the way animals are treated, which is horrible. The list goes on with it, that it's, clearly there's been a orchestrated assault for a very long time on our food sources, and it's not getting any better. Also, we look at, as far as our bodies go, chemtrails and, it's just EMFs. It's a big list. It's just a wonder that we can function as well as we can and how resilient the body really is. But there comes a point when it's not anymore. So where do you go? You go to your medical professional, your sanctioned medical professional. Well, in case you don't know, at the turn of the century, the whole allopathic model was forced into into society and into our whole paradigm of what healing looks like. Before, it was energy medicine, it was homeopathy, it was all kinds of cool energy stuff. People believed in the ethers, in the invisible realm that the visible comes out of. And that's where healing really, there's like a leverage point. The higher up we go in the chain of vibration, the more leverage we have down in the physical. Well, that was taken away from us. Now, don't get me wrong, that if a traumatic injury happens, like I had a traumatic arm injury about 3 months ago, I went to the emergency room and I saw an orthopedic doctor. Thank God for that. I've had other surgeries and things where, just some herbs and some energy medicine, well, who knows? Maybe I could have prevented some of the things from happening, but it's just, I'm thankful for a certain range of what the providers can do there. And I'm not knocking medical doctors or providers, because I think that there's a lot of genuine people. The majority of them are really healers, and they're trying to do their best, but they're working within this paradigm, and God love them and bless them for that. Obviously, there's other ones that are focused differently, but there's a lot of goodness out there, even within something that I don't feel is helpful to our well-being. Anyways, that's not the point of this conversation. What I want to talk about today is the toxicity. So clearly at a physical level, there is a lot of things not working in our favor right now. There's many things you can fill in the blanks of, there's other stuff going on too. And then there is also the psychological, or the mental. Let's look at that next. The mental level of toxicity. And for me, I feel like it starts right at the point of when we're coming into school and our indoctrination into a system that has been cultivated and rewritten to push a certain agenda. Once again, the turn of the century, there was a big push of a different agenda. And with that, school textbooks, our history, really importantly, our history was rewritten so it would fit into a very specific narrative, along with our sciences and, probably just about everything else. It's, I trust very little of what mainstream has been guiding us and has been serving up to us. And especially on that mental level, all of our sciences, I'm sorry to say, but I feel like our sciences, there's a level of toxicity because it's controlling what's coming into us. It's not giving us the nourishing, fulfilling, full truth. And if you question that, well, just look at the fact if somebody, like say an archaeologist, comes up with, does an excavation and finds certain artifacts, ooparts or whatever you want to call it, out of place objects, I can't remember what else stands for, but things that don't fit into the narrative, and they try to publish papers on that, and the best case scenarios, they're shut down, they're ostracized if they don't pull it back. And worst cases, some people they're gone. So there's heavy control on it. So look at what happens if anybody tries to speak out against the narrative, and then you're going to get your answer on whether or not this is part of a control pattern, a part of a bigger picture of a manipulation. And that's, for me, is like a really easy one, because if it was the truth, it was based on really what's, an honest quest for knowledge and information, then all research would be welcome, right? It would all be welcome. Be like, oh my God, what do you see from your point of view? What do you see from your point of view? Oh, cool, let's put all this together so we can really figure out what's going on. But that's not what happens for the most part in our sciences. So that makes me question it, and that's why I put in the label on. There's a level of toxicity with it, because it's not about our overall knowledge base, our overall mental health of understanding what's happening in this world. We have a psychological bombardment that's huge, and right now in the political arena, we're seeing that play out on a huge scale. We are pitted against each other in such a way that tempers and passions are at an all-time high, and I'm afraid they are going to reach a real critical point depending what happens in the next few months. And I'm not a believer of either side. I think both sides are part of the problem. It's part of the whole game of creating schisms, creating polarity between people that's not a natural balanced polarity, but it's fighting, it's separation, right? It's me against you. And that's a lie, because that's not the truth. It's we're all part of the one. We are all children of God. We are all part of the one beautiful, energetic background of love that gives birth into this world of physical things. And so anyway, the point there is that it's just that the psychology about fear and separation is intense. And it goes, in all ranges. You can see, the whole climate change thing, that's another spectacular one, temper is flying. The whole gender thing, I made a video I think it was last week, on woke versus awake and the stuff that's happening with that. So I feel like there's a psychological bombardment that's going on. And there's more to it. This is just what I'm coming up with right now. You could add more to the list and to the comments, because it does. I think it's very pervasive. Here is just like the toxicity is the general pool in which we are swimming in of energy. It's against true human nature and human evolvement. So is it any wonder why we find ourselves in toxic relationships? Is it any wonder why at work that we have, we may have a toxic situation as far as what the whole work environment is, our bosses, just maybe the company's rules and whatnot. I mean, it's no wonder to me. Now, that's the bad news in this video. Like, I don't do videos that are going to just be about the bad news, but I feel like we have to be realistic about what's going on, and then we can look at what the solution is, because there's always the good news with it. And the good news here is, this is like the good news, everybody. The good news is that you are a sovereign being. You are a sacred, sovereign being. You are a God in the making. Oh, that's another religious thing. There's a lot of toxicities there. The love is real that people share in their congregations, but there's a lot of toxicity. Anytime somebody's going to step between me and my relationship with my higher self or higher power, that's problematic. Anyway, that's a big other subject. But the point here is that the good news is that we are creator beings. We are immortal creator beings. on this planet in 3D, moving up on the vibrational spectrum as we're learning these lessons, and we're able to understand that we create our own reality. And that's the point that I'm going around here. The point is that if you are in a toxic relationship, is that, sorry to say, but it is a reflection of a part of you. You made that choice. It was, whether it was conscious or not, it was drawn to you energetically for a reason. It's to show you and give you a choice. Is this what you want to create? Oh my God, of course, no. I'm ready to get out of it. Well, that just tells me you are ready to change, that you've outgrown that old definition of you. Because actually, when we look at it, that our world, right, what's manifested right now in our lives is a reflection of the past. And that's the past us. Like right now, we're what we see is it manifesting. We're going to see that in the future. We're not that powerful of change agents and manifestors to have things like instant, like it is in the higher realms. This realm, it's spread out in time for very good reasons, as we learn so many beautiful, incredible lessons about manifestation and creating. And this is one of them. So back up here, what your world looks like right now is a reflection of who you were, where your mind was, where your heart was. This is a reflection back to you, this toxic person or this toxic workplace. The good news is that you can change that. Now, the more I grow in my wisdom, the more I understand that the whole riding things through, it's like, I'm going to intend this and I'm going to change it, and I'm going to I'm going to move physical reality around, and I'm just going to muscle through it, and I'm going to force reality bend to my will. That's one way of trying to do it, but it's not the easiest way. It's not the best way. Not always the best decisions are made, because do you really know exactly what's good for you? When I look at my life and I look at we talk about relationships, I look at all my previous relationships, and sure enough, I intended. I had specific intentions. It's like, this relationship isn't working. So what I'd like is somebody that's like this. Lo and behold, that would come into my world. And I'd be with them for a while. It's like, oh my God, I forgot to ask for the other things as well. So at some point in time, I just gave that up. And it was just like, Great Spirit, I'm not sure what's the right balance for me and what would be a beautiful fit. So I'm going to allow it to come to me and to allow it into my life and use my higher self as the directing force with that. So that's what I am proposing here, is there's a whole different way of creating than in the 3D realm or even the 4D, where it's about just, pushing our will through. The other range is getting into the 5D mentality, is we're working with spirit and we're allowing things to come through. It takes a lot of humbleness, and it takes also a lot of humbleness of the ego, of setting the ego aside, that I don't know exactly what it is I want, but I want the best. And I believe that I am living in a universe that wants the best for me too, wants me to have a joyful, prosperous life. And that's just there. They're waiting to come to me. And I need to allow that in. So the point here is, in a relationships, in any kind of toxicity or anything you're not liking in your world, that it's not going to form up on when you're focusing on what's missing, what's wrong with it. That's why you keep getting what you're getting. That's why you're drawn to one toxic relationship to another. Usually that is a repetitive thing. So how you find your way out of that is you become a different person. You become that person that's going to attract the reality that you want. And I've used this consistently over, probably 20 years of my life or more, in relationships where I felt like I'm not happy, this is not working out for me. And what I know I need to do is I need to change me, because the me that agreed to this and got into it, maybe even got married, that's not the me that I want to be. and I'm not happy where I am or with the person I'm with, but I know I have to change me. So what I did is I worked really hard on myself, and I kept this picture in my mind of the type of relationship I wanted, the type of a man that I wanted to be with, and then what kind of woman would be with that man. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to become the woman that's the relationship that's going to be naturally attracted to me. Now, the person I'm with can have the choice to grow with me and be that person, or there's going to be another person come in. But there's going to be a face and a person with me at that point when I have become the person to have that reflected back to me in my world. And it has worked, and it's been a progress of refinement. I'm still in that process of refinement of relationship and what it is that's gonna work. And I have to say that that's where I'm right now. It's about allowing. It's about, in a way, stepping out of the whole thing and allowing it to form up and to change around me, and not and not being worried, not focusing on the lacks, which is really, it's challenging to do. And that's a big challenge, is not to focus on the deficiencies of something. Because remember, in other videos that I've spoken about, what's wrong with somebody, what's wrong with another person or our situation is not the point. You can't build from a lack, from something that's off balance. You don't want to build off of that. You want to build from what's right with the situation. And that's when spirit can come in and bring energy and start to build up your personal power in an area, is as we focus on the channels of what's right with things. What's right with me, and where am I going to go? Who am I going to be? And let my life then form up around it. So I have this little analogy. I've probably used it before in videos, but I'm going to use it again because I really like it. I think it's poignant. Is I use the tennis court as an example. Now, I'm not a tennis player, but I have, so I get the game. Not that difficult, the basic principles. So look at a toxic relationship. You're on the tennis court of the relationship, and there's a partner on the other side of the net, and you're not getting along, and they are like throwing up this serve, and boom, they slam it over the net, and you're like, ugh. And you go slam it back, and then they slam it over, and it's just this very hurtful relationship that you're there volleying back and forth. And at some point you're like, screw it, I don't want to play this game anymore. So you throw down your racket and you're like, I'm not going to play this game anymore. Well, the person's like, they're still on the court, and they're going to serve, and then boom, the ball hits you, ow. Boom, it hits you again, ow. You're still getting bombarded. You may not be reacting to it, but it still doesn't feel good. Well, what happens if you just walk off the court? Simply walk off the court, saying, I'm not going to play anymore. Thank you. Find somebody else to play your game with you. You walk off the court, the other person's sitting there, with the ball going, oh my gosh, I can't play by myself. I need to find somebody that's gonna take my serve, unless they're ready to heal. And then they're gonna go, get help because they don't want to play the game anymore. But that's their decision. That's their problem. Your responsibility is you. So you don't want to play that game anymore. You just step off the court. I did an interview with Sylvie Salinas, who's a very dear friend of mine. She's a spectacular crone. And so I have an interview on my channel. It's called, I think it's under Wisdom Interviews, and it's with Sylvie Salinas. And she talks about the love of her life she was with for a period of time, but there was, they had a chemical addiction. And so there was like a certain level of toxicity for her, and how she worked her way through that relationship and was able to finally move past it. And what happens, very interesting, because think about the analogy of the tennis game when you listen to how she describes it, because it's a perfect example of that. Not that it didn't cause her great pain, not that she still doesn't look back and is like, oh, it could have been so great, that we were such this incredible fit, except for, this situation that they couldn't get beyond. Anyway, so I recommend you really look at that if if this is your situation, and if you just want to just hear some wisdom drops from just an amazing woman who's actually my elder. So I love, like, all my crone friends around here. I'm the youngster in the group. Gotta love that. It's so great. They're pretty spectacular. So anyway, so back to toxicity. You know, our relationships, we can change it. You can change your relationship, but you have to change you. First, you take responsibility. Yes, I created it. Yes, this is a reflection of what I have been. I have a chance to be a new me now. And the universe is just looking to support that new you. It's looking to support your beingness, who you be, not what you do, not what you intend. All that stuff, that's a manipulation of a certain level. You want real change? Well, you do the real work inside you. And, it's one of self-love, isn't it? I mean, it all really comes down to self-love, self-forgiveness. As another viewer had a beautiful comment in one of my videos reminding me the importance of self-forgiveness. And it's a key part of everything, of restoring ourselves, restoring our bodies, our minds, and our spirits back in alignment, is to forgive ourselves for all these bad decisions we've made in our life, all of our shortcomings we've done. We're our own worst judge. The whole thing is we're not judged in heaven. No, we're not judged when we cross the other side. We have an honest assessment of ourselves. We do for ourselves, but let's start that process right now. Be easy, be gentle, be kind to yourself. Just know we're here. We're here learning things, and this is a lesson to learn. Figure out what those lessons are, learn them, own them, and okay, I get it. Now I can move from that into something that I want to create that's going to be a blessing. It's going to feel good, and I can enjoy life, and I can be joyful and spontaneous and creative and have abundance around me, abundance of friends and, fun things to do. I mean, I really feel that this world is just, oh my gosh, it's really aching. Creation's aching for us to step into the position of being able to receive. And for me, that receiving is allowing all the good things to come in, and we can stop blocking them out with our own, our own mental attitudes. All the toxicities out there are part of I believe, of an agenda and a plan of blocking that wisdom, the ability to wake up to who we really are, because we change the world as we change ourselves. And that works against the agenda of, the anti-human agenda that is not about us growing, but it's also something, we look at a higher perspective, it's also the impetus for growth, right? What don't you want? Don't want that. What do I want? I want that. Hence, in the world of contrast, right? You get to see both sides of things. Well, what do I choose? I have free will. I'm a sovereign being. I have free will. What am I going to choose for me? I don't know about you, but I want to choose the highest and best version of me. I want to have a life that is easy, that flows naturally, that I don't have to, that there's no worry about things, that abundance follows me wherever I go, and beauty follows me, and loving interactions, and creativity, and humor, and also expanding my mind, and all these amazing real capabilities that we have. I want to live in that world, and I am going to create that world by doing my part. I'm going to create my world around me to look like that. And if enough of us do that, it changes the bigger world, right? The microcosm, the tipping point happens, and then it's out in the macro. And that's then what we get to live in. So that's the good news. I want to end on that note, that there's great news here, is that we have free will, we have choice, we are sovereign beings. We can start shutting off all those toxic things and make new choices that are going to be life affirming for us. So I hope this helps. If you like this video, please subscribe to the Rebel Crone and hit that little bell, and you'll be notified on future drops of videos. And I also want to say, in the next couple weeks, I will be launching my website, which is going to have all kinds of cool things on it and different services that I'll provide. And also coming in September is I'm going to have a membership portal on my site for all of us to gather, for us beautiful, beautiful feminine beings, to just a place to safely gather and to learn and grow and support each other, and to reset the paradigm of femininity and really support each other to coming into our power. So a lot of really cool things coming up about that. I'm excited. I've got my work to do between now and then. But in the meantime, I just wish you all the best. I wish you the life that you deserve. I wish you the love relationship that you deserve. I wish you a beautiful, generative workspace that you deserve, because you do deserve all that. So own it for yourself. Okay? Well, peace be with you. And as always, peace from within.